Welcome viewers to the episode 4 of the Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations tutorial by the Dynamics Guy. Today we'll be looking at General Ledger and we'll be focusing on financial dimensions. In today's episode, we are going to be looking at what are financial dimensions, its meaning and importance. We're also going to be looking at financial dimension sets as well as dimension values. We'll be looking at their meaning, its relevance, and how they are set up. Sit back and relax. By the way, if you've not subscribed to our channel, please click on the subscribe button just below this video, and I really appreciate your feedback in the comment section. Thank you, and let's go. What are financial dimensions? Financial dimensions are data classifiers used in grouping financial information by departments, business units, cost centers. These are done majorly for reporting purposes. As you can see, we have different departments here as you would have in any organization: sales and marketing, procurement, accounting, retail, and many others as you would have anywhere in other organizations. In business units, we have electronics, hair, fashion, sporting as we would group our business units. And you have cost centers such as administration, production, marketing, campaign. These are things that actually incur more cost depending on how your organization process is like. So, by making use of financial dimensions majorly in reporting, you can tell which department is performing well, which business unit is making more profit, and which cost center is incurring the least cost or the highest cost. Since financial dimensions is presented in financial reporting, it only follows that financial dimension has to be taken into consideration when posting transactions such as sales, purchases, payments. In Microsoft Dynamics Finance and Operations, you can set up financial dimensions, add dimension values to each financial dimension, as well as set up financial dimension sets. In this chart, you can see that we have financial dimension A, which has financial dimension values 1, financial dimension value 2, financial dimension value 3 attached to financial dimension A, sorry. We also have financial dimension B, which has financial dimension value 1, 2, and 3 attached to it. Financial dimension set is just a combination of one or two or more financial dimensions. This is actually used, financial dimension set is used majorly in reporting, especially in trial balance, where you have to run report transactions. You see transactions that are posted based on the financial dimension sets that are configured in your system. You can also restrict transactions from getting posted unless they have specific financial dimension values selected. This ensures that transactions are posted with the right financial dimensions and dimension values. The restriction can be done on customers, vendors, as well as main accounts. So this actually ensures that you do not get to post transactions unless the financial dimension value that are required for these transactions in terms of reporting is actually selected when posting the transactions. This is enough of the financial dimension value theoretical aspect of the financial dimension series. So it's time to go practical. Yeah, welcome. So we'll be looking into the practical aspect of financial dimensions, financial dimension sets, as well as financial dimension values and how it's used in reporting. Okay, so first we are going to start by creating financial dimensions. So if we go into our application and go to general ledger module if we want, or we can just search in for financial dimensions in the search bar, but I like to navigate in order to just get familiar with the system. Okay, so from general ledger module we have dimensions and financial dimensions. So we're going to financial dimensions. In the standard demo environment, you have default financial dimensions already in the system. You have so many: agreement, bank accounts, business units, campaign, cargo, center, and so many others. But for this tutorial, we are going to be creating a new financial dimension. So if we click on new, you have a field where you have use values from. This indicates if you would love to use financial dimension values from another financial dimension value in the system. Like if you want to make use of financial dimension values from one of these other dimensions, then you can just select it here. But if you want to just create a custom dimension with your own specified dimension values, then you just click on custom dimension here. So in dimension name field, we would give this a name. I'll just say depot. Yeah. Okay. So this is the name of our dimension. Then in the report column name field, this is the name we want to give the dimension in the report. You can just use the same name, depot, right? Okay, in the administration section, you have dimension value mask. This actually um, specifies the limit of amount of dimension values that you want to specify. And if you want this parameter, you can check it. This enables that. This validates if the dimension transaction you are posting dimension that you selected to is balanced or not. So this ensures that if you actually make use of this parameter, but we are not going to make use of this too, so we'll just leave this and we'll focus on what we want to do, which is to set up dimensions and dimension values. Okay, so if we go up here, we're going to click on dimension values. Once we do that, we see a pop-up which gives us a notification that updates to a dimension will not take effect until dimension activation is run. This can be run from the dimension page. The dimension activation will prevent users from using the dimension until the job is complete. This is because the dimension activation actually makes use of a bad job, and so this might slow down performance for that period on which the job is completed. Dimension activation changes the database schema. Of course, this is expected because it is actually used for reporting, so it affects the way transactions are posted. And you need dimension activation privilege to run this process. So you need a system admin user would have the standard privilege, which is dimension activation, or you can actually set up a custom role, security role, to have this dimension activation privilege in order to run this process. We recommend you schedule this batch job when it will impact the least number of users. So you can do this off-peak period where you have least number of users in the system. So we just close this notification, having taken note of that, and we click on new to create a new dimension value. So we have the dimension value field, so I'll just say this is location 1. And I'll have in my description as well location 1. Okay, so in the general fast tab, we have other fields active from field. This specifies the range of date you want this dimension value to be active. So outside this range of period, you would not have this dimension value functioning, although it will be in the system, but it would not be functioning. Okay, in the group dimension field, you can actually group this dimension. This is also used for reporting, so in case you are doing consolidation of reports for different legal entities, so you can group these dimensions value by specifying a name here. Okay, you also have suspended. This is actually also to suspend the dimension value. You are not going to create a date for this. You can just select it if you want to suspend the dimension from being in use. Okay, you can also do not allow manual entry. This would actually restrict anybody from inputting or changing the dimension when posting transactions. So if you've set an account rule structure, advanced rule structure, or you set up a validation from the customer or vendor to actually input this dimension into a transaction automatically when one dimension is selected, although the user would not be able to do any manual entry. So this, as you can see here in the notification, it says that select this option to prevent default data for this financial dimension value from being displayed in journals. So this field is available only when the shared value is selected in the select the level of dimension value to display. So this is actually used when you are doing shared using shared dimensions. So we just leave this at this. You can also specify your owner for different employees. As well, you also have the parameter require the dimension value to be balanced here. And you also have like entity overrides, which allow you to also select which entity you want to suspend. You want it to be suspended from, or you want it to be active during some period for. Okay, so this is the basic ones we are going to make use of, just the dimension value and the description, and so we save. Yeah, so we have the first dimension value. We can also have as many as possible, so I'll just create one more. So we have another dimension value location 2. Okay, so I'll create this and I'll just go back to the financial dimension value page, and so I have my financial dimension, but however my financial dimension is inactive, as you can see. So for me to make this active, I will have to go to this activate button and click on it. As you can see, this actually gives me a pop-up dialog where it shows me that it's about to run a bad job, and so I can configure so many things here: the batch group, schedule, the time it's going to start, and all that. But I'll just leave this at default and I'll just go. So if I'm actually creating these dimensions from a default dimension values, I can as well rebuild my financial dimensions in terms of the balances. So, but I'll leave this at that because it's a new one. So I'll just click on activate. As you can see, it's running the process of activating my financial dimension. And once this is done, I would be able to see this financial dimension as part of the list in my account structure. I will see it in my advanced tool structure, which we are going to be looking at later on. I will also see it in my general journals, or any other journal when I want to post a transaction. So I'll be able to select the dimension value there. So as you can see, let's say I think it's completed now. So if we go back, we can see now it now has the active status. Okay, so we are going to see how to put this into use. So just go to general ledger module. So in ledger module, we are going to go to account structures. In another episode, we are going to go into more detail of how account structures are configured and as well as advanced tool structures. But here, I just want to do this for the purpose of financial dimension. So here we have different financial dimensions: main account, business unit, department, has segments in account structures. So I want to add the new financial dimension we created, depot, as one of these segments, so that in general journals entry, when you are trying to post a transaction, you get to select this dimension that we just created. So I'll just click on add segment here, and it gives me a list of dimensions in the system. So I'll click on depot, which we just created, and I'll click on add segment. So now I have it here. So this asterisk shows that this is mandatory, but if I also put the double column, remove, yeah, so I have this here. So this changes this from being mandatory to it being optional. Okay, let me just copy this. Okay, so I have it already. Okay, fine. So this, if I have asterisk here, this shows that this must be having a value. But I can also specify the value here. But if I have it as this asterisk, so it means that I can input any value here. So this is done. So I will just click on, once I make an edit of an account structure, it changes the status of the account structure to draft. So what I have to do is to activate the account structure back. Okay, so I'll just click on activate. This also runs a batch job, which might take a moment. It's already added to the batch queue. So batch job is just like a way the system tends to make changes to the overall um, effect. When you make changes to some settings or configurations or parameters, so the application runs a batch job, and it changes this effect to all areas, all dependencies that this parameter might have in the entire application. So that's what the batch job does. So it might take a while, so let's just wait while this run. As you can see, the status is inactivating, so we just keep refreshing this. Okay, now account structure manufacturing balance sheet is now active. So for us to see this, we are going to go to general journal. In the general ledger module, click on general journal. So we can make use of a new journal entry here. So if we click on account and try to select the main account which can proceed transaction to. Okay, so we have department. Let's select this. As you can see, when I selected department, we have depot also. So I'll select marketing, and so I have my two dimension values, location 1 and location 2. So I can as well select location 1. As you can see, it gives me, this is quite weird because you can have a number here. So instead of having location 1, you can actually have a number here field, which you can use for reporting, and while the name might be location 1, so you have a better consistency in terms of naming or nomenclature, if I would say. So this is my transaction. Let's say 20, or let's say test, and I have a debit transaction of let's say 50, credit transaction 50 to another ledger account. Let's say, for example, I want to post to petty cash, so you see populate the same dimension which I selected here. So okay, I think this is fine, so I can just save, and let me be sure I don't have the same account in both offsets. And okay, so I can post this. Okay, so it's validating. I'm trying to post. If there are any errors during validation, it would actually bring them. So let's just wait for this to run, and hopefully it's going to be successful. Fine. So operation completed and it's posted successfully. So I have this transaction posted successfully to this dimension. So once a transaction has been posted to a dimension, if we go and attempt to, let's say we want to delete this dimension, what's the best guess would be what would happen? Of course, the system would not allow this because a transaction has been posted to this dimension. So if I go to depot now and I try to delete, yes, the financial dimension exists on the transaction. You cannot delete financial dimension depot. So this is the impact of having postings of transaction posted to a financial dimension that you would not want to. So it's suggested or recommended that you have your financial dimensions planned before you actually, if possible, in your UAT environment or sandbox if you have one. before going into production, so you will not have wrong dimensions getting posted using to transactions getting posted to a wrong financial dimension, because of you would not be able to delete these financial dimensions once transaction gets posted to them. Okay, so we just cancel this error and would go out back to financial dimension set, right? Okay, financial dimension set, just like we have in financial dimensions, I told you financial dimensions have different dimension values attached to them. So financial dimension sets is just a combination of one or two or more financial dimensions. This is used in reporting. So this is what exactly used in reporting, the financial dimension set. So I'll create a new financial dimension set. I'll set this as let me set this as I posted the transaction, right? So I'll say this is a market report. Just you know, we just testing, so of course it's not a market report, we know. Okay, so we have this. Okay, so we have, as you can see in the available financial dimensions column, you have all available financial dimensions in the system, including the one I just created, depot. Okay, so I'll pass this along to one of my financial dimensions. Main account. Yes, I need this. What else did I select? I think I selected business unit and department, so I'll just pass the two, right? Okay, because I selected all these dimensions when I was making my postings, so I'll just arrange them in order. So I'll move this up. I think it was followed by business unit, if I'm right. So I'll as well, let me see. No. So I want to move this down and down. So I have main account, business unit, department, and depot. I think that was the order. So I'll save this, sorry. Yeah, so I have this saved as my market report, right? Dimension set. And I'll go to my trial balance report. So I want to see the transaction that I just posted. So what I'll do is, here you can see you have data to include financial dimension set. So I'll select my new dimension set. Who can remind me what I named it? So I'm trying to remember now. Market report, yeah, of course, market report. Okay, so I'm looking for it. Okay, I'm just type. Okay, I have one. So the market. Come up. Okay, market. Don't have it here. So I'm still coming. Okay, I don't have it here yet. So let's go back. I guess it has not updated the balances, so I think I have to update the balances. So I'll just go back to financial dimension sets. Okay, just select something here so we can leave here. Okay, let's keep this here. I'm coming back. Okay, so we'll go to financial dimension set back. I'll go to market report. For okay, I think I got this order wrong somehow. I'm not sure, but what we'll do is this. Yeah, so we have this here, so we create balances, right? So we'll run this. What this does is that it groups all these transactions that we have posted. It prepares them for a report. Yeah, so let's create balances. So, and the first action you take after posting transactions to them, before running your report, what you do is create balances. So if you have done this and you've posted some transactions after then, and you still want to run a report, what you do is update balances. And so for some weird reasons you don't want to have, maybe if you've posted wrong transaction at some point and you want to clear this, so what you do is clear balances. Okay, so let's rewire this, create our balances for this financial dimension set. So depending on the number of transactions you have, it might take a while. So completed. Okay, so as you can see, once I've created my balances, I can now rebuild balance, update balance, and clear balance. So what I'll do now is to go to even remember we could not see this in our trial balance before the financial dimension set. So let's see if it's now present. So I'll clear this and search for my market report. I have it now. Great. So I posted I think I posted using this date. So if I run from the financial year, so what you do is that in your trial balance you don't run you run within a specified period, which is actually annual, so you can't run outside this. So I'll just leave this and I'll calculate balances and let's see what we have. So it gave me the transaction I posted. As you can see, this is the only transaction that has this dimension set: main account, business unit, department, and depot. As you can see, it gives me my debit credit transaction and my debit transaction and my closing balances. As you can see, the balance on the both accounts is actually 0. Great. So this is the usefulness or the importance of having financial dimensions. So you can actually see transactions by department. So if I have here, we just have one department because this was what we used. One depot, location 1. We didn't mix it with location 2. So if I can set another financial dimension set, if I want to have this, so I would see all these transactions, and I can as well filter. If I just want to see only location 2, I'll filter on this column and I'll have only transactions that contains location 2. But I don't have that here, so I expect not to see anything. Great. Okay, so this is the usefulness of financial dimension sets in reporting. So I hope you've learned one or two things. Please don't forget to click on the subscribe button so you get notification of our new episodes and get to learn more. And if you have any questions regarding this teaching on financial dimension sets, as well as financial dimension values and its usefulness in the system and its application, you can please leave it in the comment section. Be sure that we would respond to it as soon as possible. Thank you very much for staying tuned. See you in the next episode. Bye.